Welcome back to The Matrix. Just earlier this year, NASA landed a probe on Mars, tricking a kind robot into going to space and then sending us his holiday pics. Thanks, Gadget. So why am I feeling so uncharacteristically topical today? Because of our first fact. Space! Humans in space. A nightmare waiting to happen. Sometimes I think about how lucky I will be if I don't live to see the first space colony. Because you know that one of the first buildings I'll construct will be a bank. Or a subway. Or two subways. It makes me utterly depressed.
The end point of capitalism.
Whilst we still have 31 years until Bowie Base 1, human history in the stars is well documented. And as you'd expect in Doctor Who, none of it fits together right. Alright you guys, all of you, all the writers, I'm calling a round meeting. The Doctor Who version of the space race is fairly intact, even though you and you were all pulling strings in it. Hell, the fourth Doctor personally commandeered Apollo 8 and revealed that the entire NASA mission was just a unit foil to get him some emergency space parts. Be a good chap and fly them up to me, will you? Trust the Doctor to weaponize a historical event. Multiple times. Seeds of Death correctly predicted that in the far future of the 21st century, humanity will grow bored of space travel and will have mostly given up and lost interest. Which seems unlikely. Too many contradictions to even know where to start, and don't even get me started on humanity's first contact. It's a whole series of alien encounters. But when the public aren't in denial or having their memory sucked into a crack in time or hungover, it's generally agreed by Earth in verse that the first contact was 1996 by the Ice Warriors. But then also 2006 when the Slovene threw a pig at a London landmark. Yeah, let's ignore all those other ones.
How will they explain this tomorrow?
You'll all forget it ever happened. It's the human superpower. Forgetting.
Then there's Empress of Mars, cheekily reminding us that this isn't our past nor our world. Screw historical accuracy, the British were so good at colonialism that we pillaged our way to space in 1881. Rule Britannia! But hey, as we know, the 21st century is when everything changes. And you gotta be ready. And we were. Alien species wants to fly over, you gotta deal with Torchwood, Unit, The Forge, Bannerman Road, Coal Hill, Ryan and Graham, K9, ICIS, Probe, The Department, MI5, the governments of the world, The Ghost and Doctor Who. It is defended. Early into the 21st century, there's so many competing space agencies that Oz, Spain, Germany and the Philippines all rush out into space as well with their own space programs. But obviously, naturally, Britain got there the most. I can't put my arm down. Arm, stop being evil. Damn, turns out I do have a single patriotic bone in my body. And it's my humerus. Then in 2049, the timeline behaves itself suddenly and says that natural disasters almost push us to extinction. Oops. So Earth is often inhospitable, despite many other stories also being said in this time with no acknowledgement. I mean, it's gonna happen, but the poor sod who decided to situate their story in the 52nd century didn't do their homework. Then, the most beautiful moment of the revival happens. Fuck you, and humanity wants to step back up and explore the majesty of the universe that they have just been reminded of their place in. Almost immediately, we ruin everything. Humans ruin space. We meet the Daleks, we start a war with Mars and let Earth rot back home as the climate continues to worsen, the United States fall, and Britain without hesitation puts its colonizer hat back on, and we become the dictatorship of New Britain. Presumably around the same time, Scotland split off and get their own ship. And now, the best bit, by the 45th century, by two different accounts, the Earth was just gone. It just disappeared. It's okay though, it came back. By the 42nd century, not only have we rediscovered the marvels of actual slavery, but casual space travel is now common. It's going to take another 20 odd centuries for the everyday person to experience space travel. That sounds healthy. Doctor Who views humanity going to the stars as a beautiful thing. I'm inclined to disagree, as every single story set in the future, bar a couple exceptions, is about the long, bloodthirsty, awful legacy we leave in our wake. We should have just stayed home. A species that cannot conduct themselves without the constant supervision of a kind alien clown man should not be given the keys to outer space. You know, airports. Yeah, if we ever go to space, everything's just going to be like living in an airport. Bring on the future. Now you've seen the future, now about we go to the past, Rose Tyler. Here, have a chalky milk. The origins of one Mr. Stein, first name Franken. Mary Shelley is the mother of science fiction, the progenitor. Situating her in a story to meet Doctor Who is an idea so natural that it's been done a couple times. But that exact fated night, the one where she was influenced to write Frankenstein, the modern Prometheus, it's a busy night. Not only do you have 13 in the fan gate crashing in a morally dubious, very overrated episode, I fucking hate it, can we stop talking about it? But as many of you know, that same night, another Doctor crashes through that door, the 8th, with, get this, no recollection of his memories. Pull the other one. The company of friends then makes the 8th Doctor out to be the influencer, crazed madman. I don't see the correlation myself, but that's okay, because Mary Shelley then joins as a companion, only for a very limited run, but enough to see the full extent of Doctor Who Gothica. The Silver Turk introduces her to a Cyberman, brought to life by lightning. And trust me, I've tried to make it work. These two stories simply don't coexist. In the Villa Diodati, she stands there so mawkishly like, ooh. It's such a disservice. Which means that the second this story ends, Paul McGann must barrel through the doors, right? Everyone's feeling remarkably calm about that last traumatic 50 minutes they went through. But then, there's the third story. There's actually, get this, 3 different influences for the story of Frankenstein. From the 10th Doctor comic, The Creative Spark, Mary ran into an alien creature wrapped in bandages, shooting bolts of lightning, called Zazik. Hello, Mary. You remember when we battled the Bone Lord? The idea that Mary in one night met 8, 10 and 13 is ridiculous. Did they come in one after another? And can lightning monsters please leave beloved author Mary Shelley alone? By the time we get round to series 12, Mary Shelley and the gang are just used to it, I guess. Don't you love the trend of classic writers not having 1 ounce of originality in their body? That's an old Doctor Who tradition. Mary Shelley, for the record, is an excellent companion. This was a young woman who was historically documented to tell spooky stories in churches and fucking graveyards. So, she's my queen. My goth sci-fi mummy. Ugh, that sucked. Fact number 3. Ashildr killed her kids. Look, I love you, right? I sat down to read the Legends of Ashildr book just completely as a charitable act. And I actually got really invested in the plight and story of Ashildr. Me. This isn't a character I ever expected to fall in love with, even though I do enjoy her episodes in Series 9. She's a walking metaphor. Every single line of dialogue they share in this story is just setting up Hellbent. She is the foreshadowing queen, so what would her story even look like if you removed Clara and 12? It turns out really interesting, as this book has her sailing with pirates, going on adventures with Sinbad, and deciding which one of her children should live in the Black Death. Hey Doctor, do you think you could have just left like a checklist of like key events to watch out for? Hey, in fact, scrub that, just drop me somewhere. It's really the least you could do. And as a result, the Doctor custom made a sociopath. There really was no other path for Ashildr. It's really sad. And it's in these stories you get that sense of perspective. Immortality is impossible without losing your humanity. And that's exactly what Ashildr loses in this last story by Jenny T. Colgan. In The Girl Who Died, the Doctor actually makes 2 Maya immortality things. One for her and one for whoever she decides to spend her life with. An interesting gift/curse that she considers giving to many people in these stories.
So when all three of me's children catch the plague, GG! It's a real Sophie's choice, where you decide which one of my children will I let live. There's no right answer. How are you going to make this one funny, Sam?
But the first two are beyond saving. And her baby, Little Rue? Oh my god. It's harrowing. A tough read. Will it be my brave, my brilliant Essie? My sweet, my loving Johan? Or my laughing baby, whom I do not even know? And then I think, it cannot be the baby. He would be a baby forever. And I look at my girl, my boy, and my heart, which has been kicked from palace to ditch, from shore to shore, is stabbed anew. And I am looking at my girl and my boy. My girl and my boy. I tear my eyes away from my beautiful son who is gazing at me. I cannot look at him. I take one more step towards S, my skin crawling with horror at what I am about to do. Then suddenly Essie groans in deep pain, and I freeze and I shudder. I do not know how this alien magic I carry works, nor what it is supposed to do. What if it freezes her, not just as a child, but as a sick child? What if it keeps her in this foul state forever? Could one imagine a worse torture? My hand flies to my mouth in horror. I was in good health when he did what he did to me. If I only could truly curse the man who did this to me, if I could pull his blood out across the stars, slowly, drop by drop, whilst he screamed the heavens apart, then I would. In a sudden stroke, she walked out the door. Ashildr is just off screen in the Visitation, kissing her children goodbye. Oh wait, she doesn't. She just runs out on them. But guess what? All of this could have been averted.
Because get this, the Doctor was nearby.
There's a deleted scene in Series 9 where the Doctor is revealed to be wearing the mask of a Plague Doctor. Turns out, the Plague Doctors on Earth were an alien species of scientists, using humanity as patient zero. Kind of hinting that they did the Black Death.
It's a good thing that scene was deleted, because if there's actual alien intervention going on, the Doctor has no excuse not to save her dying forever children. Just cruel.
Ashildr is so desperate to get off Earth that her best game plan is to offer up her children as test subjects so that they take them away, and her, into space on their ship. Hey Doctor, do you think you could have at least stopped these guys? It's a solid read. Colour me surprised. Ashildr decided that on principle, she could not subject anybody to her life. Just an eternal plague baby. Forever and ever. And so Ashildr's kids died covered in black spots, all alone. Thanks for joining me on this upbeat episode of Broke Canon. You're fucking welcome. Thank you to the Ko-fi. Thank you to the Ko-fi people. Do they live inside my head? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. I don't know.